In the early 90s, a commercial was aired by the Kowloon Canton Railway in Hong Kong. The initial reaction to the advertisement was very positive, leading this to become an award-winning ad. But shortly afterward, a dark narrative became associated with this commercial that spread so rapidly it caused mass hysteria among the citizens of Hong Kong. As a result, the advertisement was permanently pulled from being aired and remains a seldom talked about part of Hong Kong history. Out of all the spooky pieces of media that I've covered before, this one actually gives me the chills, and it isn't because of the actual commercial or the rumor behind it itself, but it's because of the reasoning behind why this made such a huge impact on Hong Kong that has lasted even today. When I was researching this, I really wasn't expecting to find what I found, and it genuinely baffled me. First, we'll start with the actual advertisement itself. It opens with a scene in the forest and a harmonica playing in the background before panning over to a group of kids in a line playing the choo-choo train game. So honestly, just watching this commercial here, like the first time around, already kind of gives me like a spooky, unsettling vibe. And maybe it's just because I already know the rumor behind it, but I feel like just seeing like the neutral colors and the music and everything, it just gives off this like uneasy kind of vibe to it. The end of the ad just says, "Trains. When you were small, they were wonderful. We're working hard to keep it that way for you." Then the commercial ends. It initially seems like nothing very noteworthy has happened. Well, upon some scrutiny, some people noticed that something was off. There were supposed to be only 6 children cast into this commercial. 4 boys and 2 girls. This cute little chubby kid with the checkered hat was supposed to be the last one in line. But if you look closely, you can see there's a girl behind him that we just barely get a glimpse of. When the camera switches angles to the back, we can see there is no one behind him. According to the rumors, it was actually the director himself that noticed this inconsistency, saying there were only 6 kids here when they were shooting that day, and he was puzzled about what was going on. It is said that shortly after the commercial aired, the boy in the back died in a tragic accident. Later versions of this rumor got even more disturbing, claiming that after this commercial aired, each of these kids mysteriously went missing, one by one. If this is actually true, then yeah, this is horrifying. But it's not. At first, it doesn't even seem to make any sense that this became such a widespread rumor because this disappearing girl in the back isn't very difficult to explain. Common sense would dictate that this is likely just a continuity issue. The commercial composed of a couple different shots, so the order of the kids was likely just a little bit different from shot to shot. When this rumor started making rounds in Hong Kong at the time, a reporter got in touch with KCR and asked about the well-being of the kids in the commercial, and KCR was able to locate and confirm all of these kids are alive and well. The director himself even spoke out against this rumor, saying that when they shot the commercial, they brought around 20 kids to the filming location because they weren't sure how many of them would be suitable for the commercial. In some of the shots, they just switched out some of the kids, which would explain the continuity issues. So, as far as urban legends go, this one is actually really lame. It's almost hard to believe this would freak someone out for more than a day. So, it asks the question, why did this have such a lasting impact? This thing was all over the news in Hong Kong for a long time. There were adults on news stations losing their minds over this, school kids were freaking out. And eventually, yeah, the commercial actually did have to be permanently removed because of all the distress it was causing. So why? These kinds of rumors aren't even that uncommon. I've talked about similar things before, like the hanging munchkin in The Wizard of Oz and the ghost from 3 Men and a Baby. Neither of those caused even a fraction of the amount of madness that this caused. Well, it turns out that a lot of the panic was hardly a result of the ad itself. The ad was simply the catalyst for something much greater that was going on. To fully understand how this all happened, it's best to go back to where this rumor first gained traction. It isn't entirely clear on where it first started, but there was one event that occurred that made this whole thing absolutely blow up. A broadcast on a Hong Kong radio station called Commercial Radio 2. On an October night, someone called in to talk about the KCR rumor. The following is an English recreation of that radio call that I've created.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween! I'm Dorothy. I want to talk about the commercial.
Okay, what commercial?
The commercial from KCRC. Some people saw 7 kids altogether. One of them is strange. While the others are happily playing, One of them has a very white face. This is weird.
Yeah, some people are saying this. You should go to the Consumer Council to complain.
I felt the whole commercial was strange. Some people could see the kids bleeding from their eyes.
Wait, who did you say was bleeding? Maybe you have a dirty TV screen. Did you see it yourself? That is strange.
I saw something odd, but it wasn't clear.
Shortly after that, another person called in saying this.
I want to talk about the train commercial. In fact, it came from a report on the 60 Minutes program on an English TV channel a few days ago. They interviewed the director of the commercial. There should originally be 6 kids altogether. The second kid is obviously bleeding from the face, as can be seen on the TV screen.
Oh boy. Folks, hold your seats. Yes, go on.
It has been discovered that the commercial was filmed somewhere in China. I don't know whether the kids are from China or Hong Kong, but 2 of them died and 4 of them have disappeared.
Did you see this program yourself? Or did others tell you?
My friend told me all of this today.
So, you're being deceived. Today is Halloween. Your friend is just messing with you.
Given that this happened on Halloween night, it seemed like this may have actually started as a Halloween prank, like the DJ said. The second caller mentions bleeding from the eyes, which I don't see when watching this ad. And they also mentioned the rumor being talked about on a 60 Minutes program, and as far as I know, that never actually happened either. Still, that didn't stop this from spreading like wildfire. After this show, pretty much everyone in Hong Kong became familiar with the story. It gained so much traction that the radio station had to issue a statement on the matter.
Someone in our audience on Halloween mentioned something about the KCRC commercial rumors on our program. After that, the news unexpectedly spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, and 1,000 to 10,000. From slow to fast, from false to true, from true to very true, from very true to frightening. Unexpectedly, in this confusing time, not just one person, but children and adults alike from all over are inventing stories and associating thoughts. The young children are scared. We hope that we will have a proper attitude in the face of such rumors. Please remember, do not hear, believe, or spread news that is not real. But who is the one who tried to fool the people with evil words, making something out of nothing, and setting the fire alight?
And still, this didn't change anything. The rumor was relentless. All the major media outlets in Hong Kong were talking about this non-stop, as they were constantly trying to sensationalize the story. One particular TV station, called ATV, was heavily criticized at the time when they invited a guest on their show to talk about the rumor, who affirmed that the ghost was real, causing even more uproar. As the rumor continued to grow, new variations were added to it to keep it alive. Like we said before, people were saying that there was blood on the faces of the children in the ad, and that these kids all disappeared shortly after this aired. Some people were even saying that in the ad, it was apparent that the kids were actually floating along the ground. Some variations of the rumor added that only children who watched the commercial could see blood on the faces of the actors. Some even said that the director himself died after filming this. The rumors just wouldn't stop. The whole thing was psychologically scarring, especially to the youth of Hong Kong. Children were afraid to go to the bathroom at night or sleep alone. Kids who traveled to school on the train would have panic attacks. Teachers couldn't get students to focus during class. Everyone was feeling the tension. There were even times when babies would cry when the commercial played. One of the reasons this was particularly troubling for kids was because of the target audience of the ad. The executive director at KCR explained that when they were casting for the ad, they didn't want to use Hong Kong children because, in his words, they were too streetwise and camera conscious. So they went to Beijing to recruit kindergarten kids from the outskirts of the city. The greenish sepia tones of the ad were supposed to be there to invoke a sense of nostalgia to the adults watching. This is probably why it received good feedback when it first aired. But children who watched this couldn't relate to this aspect at all. They didn't have any memories of old times, they were new to the world. So to them, these dark tones seemed ominous and depressing. The mannerisms of the Beijing kids were also off-putting because of how different it was from the typical Hong Kong kid. Even the music used was problematic. But that only explains why this was troubling for kids. The hysteria from this extended to everyone in Hong Kong, including the adults. To understand why this is the case, it's best to understand the political climate of Hong Kong at the time. When this was all happening, Hong Kong was still a British colony. Almost a decade before this, the decision was made to hand over Hong Kong to China at the date of 1997. As the handover was approaching, the people of Hong Kong were anxious about the implications of this. To make things more intense, on this particular year, Chris Patten, the governor of Hong Kong at the time, made a policy speech about how he wanted to increase the level of democracy in Hong Kong. China had a very strong reaction to this, which further added to the anxiety of the people of Hong Kong. Up until this commercial rumor started, the handover to China was the biggest thing all over the news that everyone was focusing on. When this rumor began, it gave people something else to focus on that they could all relate to. They developed a sense of community over this. In an anthropology paper written by Grant Evans, he goes into detail on how the mass hysteria that resulted from all of this wasn't so much about the commercial itself. It was all just a manifestation of their anxieties about the handover to China taking form through this ad. Sure, their focus may have changed, but the anxiety followed. Imagine a time when you were really stressed about something at work, and then you get home and you spill something on the floor, and then you just absolutely lose it. The spill was just the catalyst, not the cause. This is essentially what was happening here. And it didn't help that the commercial was filmed in Beijing using Beijing kids. One pro-Beijing newspaper at the time actually suspected that the entire rumor was some sort of political attack, stating, "The KCRC commercial used a few Beijing kids as the protagonists. A few years back, it was rumored that the children here were being kidnapped and taken to Shenzhen. Some people were in a panic and the image of Shenzhen was affected. The case died down slowly without any conclusion. Coincidentally, the various rumors are related to China. It is unclear whether the motive is to blackmail China or to abuse the backwardness of the mainland's media." Tensions continued to rise, and KCR worked effortlessly to try and dispel this rumor, even hiring an entire team dedicated to putting this rumor to rest. But it wasn't easy. In November of 1992, the writer of a magazine called Strange News called for the immediate removal of this commercial. In his magazine article, he wrote, "The problem is that the commercial is evil. The evilness in the commercial brings out the monsters in the heart of Hong Kong people. In fact, there are spirits everywhere. The force of the yin will gradually increase as more and more people talk about it. Just imagine the situation when the commercial is played again. 6 million people are pinning their eyes to the screen. All the yin forces are concentrated, and little ghosts will become large ghosts. This is the reason why the commercial has to stop." So I'm editing this right now, and I just typed out this entire paragraph, and I can't help but think this just feels like something out of an anime. Like, I'm not crazy for thinking that, am I? Despite KCR's efforts to get this under control, they were not successful. The commercial ended up being permanently pulled from television. A couple months after things settled down, a woman debated in the Legislative Council, saying, "The recent coverage on supernatural matters will have undesirable psychological effects on children, and my daughter is one of the victims." They wanted to know if the government would take any action to prohibit these kinds of programs. The Secretary for Recreation and Culture said, "There is freedom of expression in Hong Kong, and these programs are allowed under that." They did, however, remind the media to act responsibly about what they put out. As time went on, people just stopped talking about this event altogether. It was a traumatizing time for a lot of people, and now remains a seldom talked about part of the history of Hong Kong. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the flip side. Before I let you go, I have a couple of announcements I have to make. First things first, if you like this video, consider supporting me on Patreon. The guys over there actually got to see the first like 4.5 minutes of this video way early before I even finished editing it. So you'll get early access to my videos, extra behind the scenes content, a live stream I do every single Friday, and I'm also adding a Discord channel there as well. And of course, if you don't want to do that, then I'm also putting the clips from my live streams on my second channel, ScareTheater 2, where you can watch them there. I also want to give a big thank you to Ozen Okti and Kiss Voices from Fiverr for helping me with some of the voice acting stuff in this video from earlier. Also, I just wanted to thank Brandon for repping the ScareTheater merch. It looks awesome. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to Happy Wesker for my Patreon for being the first person ever to beat me in Connect 4. No, I'm not kidding. He did it right on the live stream. So check out his channel, Happy Wesker. And then also, I was going to promote the merch, but Happy Wesker from Patreon also made this sick animation doing it for me, so I do want to play that.
Hello guys, ScareTheater here. Are you tired of wearing the same old boring t-shirts every day? Well, I have some exciting news for you. Introducing my brand new line of t-shirt merchandise that will revolutionize your wardrobe. We have t-shirts, hoodies, and all other kinds of good stuff. Whether you're shopping for yourself or looking for a unique gift for someone special, our t-shirts are the perfect choice. And if you really want to share your support, then if you tweet at me with a picture of you wearing one of these items, then I'll include your picture at the end of one of my videos. So what are you waiting for? Head over to my store or go to shopscaretheater.com to check out these amazing t-shirt merchandise. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the flip side.
All right, thanks guys.